amanecer con Gladys de la Mora. Gladys de la Mora. Gladys de la Mora. Nuevo amanecer con Gladys de la Mora. Un programa familiar que te va a inspirar, que busca transformarte para poder sobresalir. Un nuevo amanecer con Gladys de la Mora. Con tips de nutrición, moda y estilo, ejercicio y belleza. Aseguranzas, finanzas y entretenimiento. Un nuevo amanecer con Gladys de la Mora. Lo que más nos importa es la historia y su gente, para que logres tus éxitos.
Hola, bienvenidos a su programa Un Nuevo Amanecer. Hoy en día aquí tenemos una gran invitada, Maria Papas. Vamos a hacer esta entrevista en inglés para todos ustedes y traducida. Thank you, Maria Papas. Maria Papas is a Democratic politician who served as the Cook County Treasurer since 1998. Prior to that, she served 2 terms on the Cook County Board of Commissioners, first as one of the 10 members elected at large from Chicago, and then as a member from the 10th District. Thank you for being here in our program, Un Nuevo Amanecer. I would like to know a little bit about you, your career. How did you start this career?
You know, my career was actually an accident. I came here in 1972. I had $500 in my pocket. I came from Wheeling, West Virginia. I came from a small suburb of that area, which is about 2,000 people. And I came here in 1972 to finish a PhD in psychology and counseling at Loyola, and I ended up completing it at Loyola University when I was 25. So for 10 years, I had a wonderful psychological practice in McClurg Court. And I also worked at Governor State University as a professor, and I worked at Altgeld Gardens, which is an African-American housing project on the south side, which is a horizontal project, not a vertical project. And I was bringing students from Governor State to that project to train them on drug addiction and family counseling. So I did that for 10 years, and I was testifying in court. I would go to court and testify if a mother was pregnant, why she shouldn't be incarcerated. If she was cocaine addicted, we need to rehabilitate her. And I was running this drug abuse correction center. And one day I went to court, and my argument was so good, the judge said to me, you know, you need to be in law school. So to make a long story short, I went home. I applied to law school. I got into law school. I didn't tell anybody I was in law school. And 4 years later, the Greek government called me and said, you have to come to Greece because all the ship owners' kids are dealing drugs and they're finding syringes on the boats, and there's nobody that can talk to them in Greek. So I got up and I left for Greece.
So you speak another language?
Yeah, I speak Greek, yeah. Awesome. I'm learning Spanish. I'll get there. Next interview, Spanish.
All right, okay. She promised.
So I was in Greece and I came back, and then my law license was in the mail. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a lawyer. Because I hadn't told anybody I was even in law school.
Before we move further in your story, so what makes a good argument? What are the 3, or just if you can provide me 3 different things that makes a good argument from your career and your experience that you
can't
have?
Make an argument unless you read the situation. You never know what your argument is unless you understand who you're talking to.
Okay.
So you have to understand how they think. So if you're dealing with somebody, so I became a handwriting analyst. I became a handwriting analyst. So I would look at, like you're interviewing me, I'm looking at your handwriting.
So that's perfect. Like
so I'm looking at it because here's somebody who really works hard. Okay. Here's somebody who's very direct. Okay. And so now I know what I'm dealing with. So I know that I have to be like.
Interesting. She just analyzed me.
I have to be like straight with you,
awesome.
You know.
I love it. I love it. So you were telling me about the.
You didn't realize
degrees.
I was looking at it while you were talking to me. Yeah. So then I was in Greece. I came back, and I got into law school, and now I was open to law practice. So I had a law practice and a psych practice. So I did that for 10 years, and then one day, an alderman from the city of Chicago walked into my office and said, there's a black church on the west side, and they lost their tax exemption status. Can I help them for free? And I said, sure, I'll help them. So I helped them get their tax status back. And the alderman said to me, you know, there's a position opening up in government, in elective office. There's George Dunn is not going to run again, and there's a new position open. And it's everything that you like to do. I said, well, what's it about? He says, it's jails, and it's hospitals, and it's public policy. I said, well, that sounds interesting. So I just put my name in. There were 30 people running, and 10 won. And because I had done all this work in all the communities, I had done a case in the Hispanic community with a telecaster. Then you know Sergio Kidi? He now works for Telemundo in Texas.
Kitty, I don't know him.
He used to be here anyways. Adorable. There was a case where an Hispanic Marine from Arlington Heights, he signed to go into the Marines at 17. And he went, when he was 18, without the family, but he said he wanted to go abroad. So they shipped him abroad. And the family didn't want him to go, but now he was 18, and so he got to do what he wanted. He got killed by a hand grenade in Spain. And they couldn't get the body back to the United States, so they called me. So after I called the senators, I called her, and the Judge Advocate General of the Marine Corps called me and said, because I was on TV every day, you are, and Manuel, my assistant Manuel doesn't know this story. Anyway, every day I was on TV complaining that the United States government couldn't get this body back, and that after he was 18, they sent him abroad. They promised the parents they weren't going to send him abroad. So after 10 days, the body comes back in a wooden casket at O'Hare Airport. No military salute. And I had Walter Jacobson waiting there with television cameras.
Oh my goodness.
And it became a national story.
That is awesome.
How this kid was treated. So, but to make a long story short, by the time I got done with this story, this is 30 years ago, everybody in the Hispanic community knew me because it was on television every day.
Right,
every day,
fighting
every day.
for a good cause.
So then when I ran for office, I had a huge Hispanic following. Nobody could understand why I was getting all these Hispanic votes. Well, because I wasn't in politics, but I had been working. You know, I had been working in the Black community, the Hispanic community, and all these stuff.
Why the passion of all these different cultures? Where does it come from?
I'll tell you. See, I grew up as an ethnic American, like a Greek American. So I grew up speaking Greek. I didn't grow up speaking English. So I think in Greek, okay? So in Cook County, there are 127 spoken languages. So we're working on that. I'm going to talk about that later. But we're very much working with ethnics because nobody wants the stuff in English. They want it in their language. So we're up in 120 languages on my website. And we've had 400,000 people download in foreign languages, including Hispanic.
I think it's important that we never forget where we come from, our culture and grandparents, although we're here in America. And it's fascinating to hear that you have such passion for all these different cultures, and you give me goosebumps just talking about it.
Yeah, but you know what? You see, I mean, the problem with the United States right now, and most countries right now, is young people have no identity. They're not sure who they are. Do you know what I mean?
I understand.
They have no idea. They have no idea. They've never had the benefit of being bilingual. Yeah.
We would like to talk more about this, and we're going to go on some commercials, and when we return, we would like to discuss more about the culture.
Okay.
And of course, more about you, because I love your story. It's fascinating.
It's a great story.
Yes, we'll be right back.
Nos preocupamos por tu familia para que puedas hacer más por ellos. Por eso nos encargamos de minimizar tus preocupaciones y simplificarte la compra y el manejo de seguros. Contamos con el mejor equipo de agentes locales dispuestos a atender tus necesidades y explicarte las diferentes opciones de cobertura para que tu familia siga progresando. Nosotros trabajamos para ti. de la Mora Insurance Agency.
Thank you for returning here with us with Maria Papas from the Treasury Department.
Yes.
We were talking in our last segment regarding culture, how now our, friends, colleagues, or younger kids, younger generations don't have a identity, culture, right? And it's important to, you were mentioning it's important to identify yourself with the culture.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, what's your objective in all this that you want to create within your office so we can learn more about culture?
So of the we're now up on our website on 126 languages because there's 126 different groups. So we cater to these groups because they're the people that own property in Cook County. But it's an extraordinarily complicated system. So it's easier for them to understand it in their native language. So there are events all around the city that we go to. Yesterday, I was at the Chinese Museum talking about the fact that the website's up in Mandarin. Last night I was at a Costa Rican consulate. Today I'm here. I'm going to go to an African American church, and this afternoon I'm going to go to a German event. So at each of these events, we don't deal with mainstream media. The Sun-Times and the Tribune is not our market. Our market is all ethnic papers, radio stations, and television stations because I run it, that's where people get their news. Someone who's watching this program is not going to go buy the Chicago Tribune today. They're just not going to buy it. They're going to come to this station and they're going to begin to understand what it is that we do. So in honor of all these groups, we have in the office, I don't know if you could see this, but we put up 92-foot Christmas trees. They're 2 feet tall. So, and then we have 90 community leaders. So here's Belize, Armenia, Denmark, Iceland, Arab, Trinidad. I mean, you can go through these. There's Spain, there's Mexico, there's Ecuador, there's Russia, New Zealand,
Lithuanian.
Bangladesh, France. Lithuanian? Oh, yeah.
Ukrainian, a little bit of everything for the North Shore as well. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So now a community leader comes in and decorates their tree with the ornaments of that country. So the Ukrainians make it with paper. Okay. Taiwan has computer discs on it. The German has candles because their trees have no lights. They just have candles, and then they have Christmas Eve dinner with just one tree with lights lit on it, candles lit on it. So everybody has their different traditions. So if you come into the office and you see the 90 trees, what you see on each of the trees is a different tradition. So the Serbian tree has a big piece of bread on it, which is what they do at Christmas. They eat this bread. So
that's fascinating. And where's your office located?
It's at 118 North Clark. The exhibition is open to the public. 118 North Clark, room 112, the first floor. The 90 trees can be seen. I mean, people bring their kids in all the time to see these trees, and then because of being politically correct and whatever, so there's a Kwanzaa exhibit, there's a Jewish exhibit, there's a Muslim exhibit, there's whatever it is that people are celebrating, okay? There's a nativity that someone from the German Niedersachsen Club hand carved. So there are all these different things. So you walk into the situation and you think, and I have always said, Chicago's not a city. I always say it's not a city. I mean, you can't say that Chicago is New York or Chicago is, LA. It's just not. It is a bunch of little neighborhoods. It's neighborhoods. Chicago is neighborhoods. It's Italian, it's Ukrainian, it's German, it's Hispanic, it's Ecuadorian, it's,
Would it be fair to say it's like the United Nations?
It is, but it's not, it's not like this. It's not like a big city. It's not. I mean, and here's why. If you go to New York, in New York they don't say, where are you from? They just say, I'm a New Yorker. if you say in Chicago, where are you from? They're going to tell you, I'm Greek, I'm from the south side, I'm from the north side. They tell you, this is where I'm from. It's like, this is my turf. I've never seen this in any other city in the world, where people are very obvious about the geographic area that they're from. You know, there's the South Side Irish, there's the North Side Irish, you know. There's, you know.
And you help all these communities through
you
your
gotta
office.
try, you try and bring them together by having this amazing website, which now what it does is, on the 1.8 million pieces of property, we've had 60 million visits to this website. You can go to this website and you just put in your address. You don't have to put in a PIN number anymore. It's cookcountytreasure.com. You put in your address. So now that you've put in your address, on this screen pops up a picture of your house, the property identification number, which is the 14-digit number that identifies the property. And then what do you see? You see a chart that says you paid, you didn't pay, or how much you owe. You scroll down and it tells you, over the last 20 years, are you one of the people who's owed $94 million? Did you ever overpay? And it tells you, you overpaid in this year. You punch another button, you go to your printer, you get a refund app, you send it to my office. 3, you scroll down. We used to have to mail everybody's bill. You don't have to do that anymore. You just punch a button and you download the bill, and on the bottom of the bill is a little scan line. This is the website.
And we're going to put it on the screen as well.
This is your website, but here it is in Spanish.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the purple box that you want to go to. in
Visita
Spanish.
general de sus impuestos de bienes y raíces para que se ahorren en sus impuestos. To save in your taxes.
Vista general de impuestos de bienes y raíces. Is that right?
You did it! She's getting there, and
Is that
she
pretty good?
promised me
Because
a
it's like
Spanish
Greek, you know, it's
interview.
like Greek, it's like...
It is, when you speak another language, it's like... you're
Linea
right.
gratis. Anyway, so you go, now you got your bill, okay? So after you get your bill, in this county, you can get exemptions. If you live in the house for a year, you get a homeowner's exemption. If you're a senior citizen, you get a senior exemption. If you're a senior who makes under $60,000, you get a senior freeze. There's a chart
And you don't-
right here. There's a chart there that will tell you, going back 4 years, if you got it or you forgot to apply. If you forgot to apply, you can punch a button, get it. We have $43 million in senior citizens who forgot to apply for their exemptions. And a lot of them are Hispanic. And they don't apply for it. And they don't come into the office because they're not necessarily documented, so they're afraid to get the money. So this is a way to get the money without having to come into the office.
But an immigration status doesn't have to do anything with
No, this is what's your
collecting.
address. What's your address? It has nothing to do with immigration status.
I'm very interested in this. We're going to go on a commercial and we'll come back to talk more about
Did we
these
just
programs.
finish another 8 minutes?
We did. We
I-
want more. We want more. We did. That's awesome. So much.
Un nuevo amanecer con la vis de la mora.
Nos preocupamos por tu familia para que puedas hacer más por ellos. Por eso nos encargamos de minimizar tus preocupaciones y simplificarte la compra y el manejo de seguros. Contamos con el mejor equipo de agentes locales dispuestos a atender tus necesidades y explicarte las diferentes opciones de cobertura para que tu familia siga progresando. Nosotros trabajamos para ti. De la Mora Insurance Agency.
Un nuevo amanecer con la vis de la mora.
Eat popcorn and bark at the moon.
That's right. We are here back with Maria Papas. We're having fun behind the scenes.
Always fun.
So we're continuing talking about these programs that you don't have to have a legal status to claim these funds,
You
right?
don't have to have legal status to claim these funds. All you have to be is a property owner. So you've got people who've been here 20 years, they're not legal status, but they've owned property for 20 years.
And you don't need an attorney to go and...
You do not need an attorney. There are people out there who send you letters and say, I'll help you find your money. It's baloney. You can do it yourself. Come to cookcountytreasure.com. cookcountytreasure.com. Go to this purple box. This purple box will tell you, going back 20 years, if you've ever overpaid on your property taxes.
Okay.
Now, why do people overpay on their property taxes? There's a closing.
Okay.
And at the closing, the lawyer holds the taxes out. But you're the first-time homeowner, so you get the bill, you're nervous, you pay it, and the mortgage company pays it.
Okay.
And sometimes the title company pays it. Now, there's 3 payments sitting here. It's
Got
your
it.
money. You can get
You
it.
can collect on it.
Yeah, it's 20 years of 94 million. So we're pushing in all these ethnic communities and all these languages for people to come in, put their address in, and it'll tell you.
How much money have you seen that has not been collected that's hanging out there or sitting out
Right
there?
now, 94 million.
$94 million out there. So
Right now. That's just in double payments.
wow.
Like the mortgage company paid. You have a mortgage.
Uh-huh.
And you forget when you get the bill that your mortgage company pays, so you pay. Or you're going through a divorce, the husband pays and the wife pays. There's all kinds of things where there's double
We
payments.
can't tell the husbands. We go shopping.
You go shopping, get them to come in and apply for it yourself,
Yeah,
get the money to
exactly.
go shopping. Yeah, yeah.
No husbands.
So then the other thing is, if you're a homeowner,
Right.
a senior, or a senior who makes under 60,000, there's another 43 million there where
Okay.
people didn't get their exemptions. So here's the problem.
Okay.
Here's the big problem. Once a year in May, we have a tax sale.
Uh-huh.
Last year, 11,000 pieces were sold. The taxes on 11,000 because people didn't pay. But 5,000 of them, they owed under $1,000. But the people who owed under $1,000 were the same people that didn't get their exemptions. So an exemption's worth $500. If you didn't get your senior freeze and your senior exemption and your homeowner's exemption, that's $1,500 a year. Times 4 years, that's $6,000.
Right.
And your property got sold because you owed $1,000. I owed you money.
And you were able to
You
sell my
didn't know.
property, right?
You didn't know because why? You're not. You have to come to this site. You have to come to cookcountytreasure.com, and you have to whatever property you owned over the last 20 years, put the address in. And you know the beauty of this? You don't have to do it just for yourself. You can do it for your mother, your aunt, your uncle, your neighbors, people at your church, at the synagogue, whatever. Anybody can do it for anybody. So, and you can do it in your language. Or if you have a
Yes.
Lithuanian friend, you can do it in Lithuanian for them.
Or Spanish, right?
Yeah, it's all up in Spanish, yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about the senior freeze for the taxes, right? What does that entail, that program? What is the senior
Okay,
freeze?
so the senior freeze is you just show the assessor that you make under 60,000 a year. If you
Okay.
make under 60,000 a year, your assessment amount freezes, so the taxes aren't going to go up. They stay.
And you don't need an attorney for this. All you have to do is go on the website.
You don't need an attorney. You do
Okay.
not need an attorney for any of this.
That's fascinating.
So the good thing about this is that for us, the word is like spreading and spreading quickly because in March, which is the due date, we had 800,000 people come to the site,
Wow.
which means the word's getting around.
Yes.
So we used to have about 400,000 a month. We're up to 600,000 a month,
So I'm
average.
I'm interested in knowing more about like the sale that each year in May you guys do in your office a sale for taxes. So if I'm a person, right, that like you owe, like for example, you owe tax or you haven't paid your taxes, and I go to the sale that you do in May, and if I buy them, then you as the owner cannot sell your property unless you pay me what I'm asking
You have
for.
2 years. You have 2 years after your property taxes on your property are sold to redeem.
Okay.
So the buyer can't just come and grab your house. You have 2 years to try and get the money together with pretty severe penalties. It's a lot of money
For
to
it,
pay back. Yeah,
okay.
it's 18% interest. It's kinds of fees. You could owe $1,000 and end up paying $3,500.
What scenario did this happen before? I mean, like
We
where-
used to sell like 30,000 parcels. We're down to about 11. So,
Okay.
you know what it is? It's just educating people. And then, you know what? I mean, people are disgusted. There are a lot of people who are just saying, here, take the house. I'm out of here. I'm leaving Illinois. I see it every day. They just say, I don't care. I'm gone. And they leave. They leave the house. There's all kinds of abandoned houses in the city. The mayor's office is trying to sell property for $1, and people don't want it.
But you have to live in the county of Cook in order to purchase it for $1, or live in the neighborhood, or what are the rules to that?
You know, I don't know what the city rules are, but
Oh, okay.
I'm sure that if somebody wanted, I mean, nobody's buying them, so I'm sure if you wanted to come in and buy one, you could, but
For $1. That's great. I mean, it's good for people to, but again, too, like the taxes and everything. It's
but
just
you
so
know, what good
expensive.
is it for $1 if you've got to pay $10,000 in taxes? I mean, you know, it's hard.
Right. It's difficult.
And some are not in such good neighborhoods, and some are lots with no houses on them, just vacant lots.
So what is the website again? That
The website is cookcountytreasure.com. But wait, I'm going to tell you something else. Get a pen, get a pencil, write this down. 312-443-5100. You can go to my website right now, punch 2, and you will get all of this in Spanish. Just the way you go to your credit card and punch in the numbers, you can punch in the numbers in Spanish, and the voice comes back and tells you if you paid or if you didn't pay. So I have the only Hispanic phone and website system around. I have both.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you would like to give to a student at a university that would like to follow your footsteps in the career that you're in right now?
You know, if I was going to give a student advice, the advice that I would give them is try not to follow the pack. You see today, I mean, you see these kids, nobody moves alone. They move in groups, you know. They shop in groups, they go to concerts in groups, they go, you know. When you get in the group, you start to think like the group. So I think to be successful, you can be part of the group. But if you keep thinking like everybody in the group, you're in trouble.
You gotta spice it up. You gotta be the spicy one.
Yeah,
like
you got to be the outsider.
Born ready.
Yeah, born ready.
Born ready way before you're born ready. Or what was it that you said?
I was ready before I was ready.
She was ready before she was ready me. Born before. And be ready.
And I got to tell you the other thing too. I mean, you know what? I know this sounds corny, but I think you have to have some sort of faith. You have to have some sort of God that you believe in, or you're just not going to get through this world in one piece. It's too much of a mess.
Yeah, it's
You
the
have
energy.
you have to have some sort of faith in something of a higher being, or it's very difficult to function because you will be endlessly disappointed in people. You know, because that's the human condition. It's chronic human imperfection. You know?
And it makes sense. It's to like the balance of life of everything that you have. But I think faith, like you say, it's one of
You
the
have to have a
most.
faith. You have to have a faith. You have to have a faith in
Well,
something.
Thank you so
Oh,
much
thank
for
you,
being
thank you.
here
You're
with
so
us.
beautiful. You're so
Thank
beautiful.
You are too. I love your mascara. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. And we're gonna bring her
Feliz
back
Navidad.
in Spanish. She promised an
Yeah, yeah.
interview. We're gonna give you a timeline. So
Yeah,
pretty
Manuel's
soon.
going to start spending 15 minutes a day with me just on my Spanish.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hasta la próxima.
Un nuevo amanecer con la vis del amor.
Hola, soy Gladys de la Mora y aquí tenemos a Maria Papas.
Thank you. You have to come to cookcountytreasure.com because I have 94 million in double payments on property at cookcountytreasure.com. Just put in your address. I can give you the money. Or if you're a senior, have a senior freeze, or you're a homeowner without a homeowner exemption, going back 4 years, there's another $44 million there. cookcountytreasure.com. Come to my website. 60 million people have come to the website. You need to come if you own a home and find out if you're one of the people who's owed that $136 million.
Ya la escucharon. Para un nuevo amanecer, los esperamos en la entrevista de Maria Papas.